Pero sa law school, hindi siya ganon. So, ipoprobe ka, Socratic method, ipoprobe ka ng professor kung talagang alam mo yung law. So, mag-shoot ng hypothetical questions, magtatanong ng more details dun sa mga words na binanggit mo or phrases na binanggit mo. And then ultimately, dun sa mga pinabasa niyang case, tatanungin niya sa'yo yung facts, ano yung issue dun sa case, and paano yung topic niyo for that day would apply to that case. So ganun yung Socratic method of teaching. And usually, isa pa to sa mga difference sa accounting and sa law school. Sa law school, ang recitation would bear a huge portion of your grade. So sa amin, sa school namin, it's usually 30 or 40% of your grade. So hindi ka pwedeng umasa sa mga midterms or finals kasi yung the other 30 would be midterms, the other 30 would be finals. So medyo maglalaro lang yung ratio and proportion doon, but definitely merong class participation or usually yung mga recitation. So yun, kung 30% yun, kailangan pagigihan mo yung recitation mo, di ba? Kasi parang sa accountancy, departmental lang din ang exam sa law school, lalo na sa mga major subjects. So kung departmental yung exam, so anything under the sun, di ba? Basta related dun sa subject na yon. So, edi good luck, di ba? Kung natapos nyo yung discussion ng subject na yon at umabot kayo cover to cover, edi maganda. Paano pag hindi kayo umabot cover to cover, di ba? Or baka medyo malikot yung thinking ng professor, sobrang medyo mahirap yung itanong niya sa finals. Kaya mahirap ang finals usually sa law school. Usually, kailangan pumondo ka na ng recitation, pumondo ka na ng midterms para sure ka na papasa ka sa subject na yon. So, ayan, ganyan magmahal yung mga law professors natin sa mga law school. So, kung iniisip nyong terror yung mga teacher natin sa accounting, baka magulat kayo sa law school. Although ano naman yan, depende, case-to-case basis naman. Ayan. So, ayan. So, yun yung mga differences na tingin ko sa as a course for accounting and for the study of law.
Ayan, sir. Since you mentioned po about reading, yung mga possible na ma-experience sa law school, ganon, and some law subjects po. Our next question are, what are the other main law subjects that you could think of that accountancy students should be aware of?
Siguro sasagutin ko yung phrase, yung question na yan in this way. Merong 8 na bar subjects currently may 8 bar subjects sa law. And recently, di ba, kinumpress nila dahil sa pandemic, ginawa nilang 4 subjects lang. But of course, we would be expecting na they would revert back dun sa 8 subjects after nitong pandemic. So parang kumokonti naman na tong Omicron. So ayan. And then out of these 8 subjects, marami siyang composition na mga subject matter or mga main subjects. So first, bar subject would be remedial law. So ito yung pinakamabigat sa mga bar subject. So it is 20% ng bar subject. We also have civil law, which is 15% ng bar. And then mercantile law or commercial law, which we are very familiar. Sa atin, ang familiar sa mga accountants would be civil and commercial law. Siyempre, kasama yung taxation, which is 10% of the bar. And then we also have political and international law, which is 15% ng bar. Labor law and social legislation, which is 10%. Criminal law, 10%. And of course, legal ethics, 5%. So, among these subjects, personally, ang pinakamahirap na subject dyan, or majority for law students, ang pinakamahirap is remedial law. So, remedial law, also called the procedural law or adjective law. It refers to the rules which prescribe the procedure for the protection and enforcement of all claims arising from rights, duties created by law. So, of course, these rules of procedure are promulgated by the Supreme Court by their constitutional mandate as on their rulemaking power. So itong remedial law or procedural law, kapag naging lawyer ka, ito yung gagawin mo as a lawyer. So kung nakakarinig kayo ng natalo yung kaso dahil sa technicalities, ganyan, usually ito yung remedial law. So subjects under remedial law, syempre ang pinaka-gatekeeper dyan is civil procedure. It's one of the hardest law subjects. Yan, civil procedure. And then we also have criminal procedure and then special procedure. Itong tatlong subjects na to, hindi lang ito yung karga ng remedial law, but itong tatlong major subjects na to, ito yung main na pinagkukuhanan ng bar questions usually. So sabi ko nga, since remedial law is 20% of the bar, you should take your remedial law classes. Kapag nakita mong part siya ng remedial law, medyo seryosohin nyo siya pag nakuha nyo to. So, sabi ko kanina din, gatekeeper din sa law school itong mga remedial law. So, ibig sabihin, ito yung mga tipong pag hindi mo pinasa, papaulit-ulit sa'yo yan hanggang may pasa mo. Kasi kung hindi mo may pasa yan, ang assumption ng professors ninyo is hindi ka pa pwedeng maging lawyer or hindi ka pwedeng mag-level up sa years mo sa law school. So, kapag nakita nyo or in-enroll nyo itong mga to, civil procedure, yan, lalo na yung civil procedure, talagang mag-aalat kayo ng time dyan para pag-aralan yan. And medyo, nasa alien territory to. May mga subject kasi sa law school na i-discuss ko din mamaya na medyo familiar tayo. Pero itong remedial law, medyo malayo to dun sa mga subjects na pinag-aaralan natin sa accountancy. Of course, we also have political law. Ang subject matter nito sa constitution, sa election law, administrative law, local government law, yan, and international law, of course. So, usually, ang pinagkukuhanan ng questions sa bar is the Constitution, which is familiar naman tayo, di ba? Meron tayong subject sa Constitution during our years sa accountancy. Usually, ini-split pa nga yan, di ba? Part 1, Part 2. Pero yung ibang school, isang lang siya, isang pasadahan lang. And then we also have labor law, which consists of two subject matters lang naman, labor law and labor relations. This subject matter is 10% sa bar, sabi ko kanina. But if you would be working as an accountant later on, this would be a great supplement. Kasi pag nagpe-payroll kayo later on sa accounting, ma-appreciate nyo to lalo na yung labor standards. Kasi dyan dinidiscuss yung mga overtime pay, mga ganyan, mga service incentive leave, yan. So, yan. Dalawang subject lang naman sa labor. And then sa commercial law or mercantile law naman, ito medyo familiar tayo dito kasi marami tayong common dito sa law school, lalo na yung corporation law and partnership law. So, and usually, ang pinanggagalingan ng mga questions sa bar with regards to commercial law, usually, a majority nun is nanggagaling sa corporation law. So, ito yung isa sa mga edge natin kapag pumasok tayo sa law study. Ayan. Also, we have civil law. Ito rin, medyo common din sa atin dito kasi nandito yung obligations and contracts, law on sales, credit transactions like yung mga pledge, mortgage, mga ganyan-ganyan. So, nandito naman yung mga subject na to. So, ang isang subject lang dito na medyo i-focus nyo kasi ito yung number 1 na pinagkakuhanan ng bar subjects is persons and family relations. Yung persons and family relation, ito yung subject which deals with the issues on family matters such as marriage, adoption, annulment, ayan, property settlement, na medyo may background tayo ng konti sa accountancy, parental authority, ganyan, support, yan, nandyan yon. So yan kasi yung number 1 na pinagkukuhanan. Number 2 na pinagkukuhanan ng bar questions sa civil law would be oblicon. So yan, usually yung mga pinagkukuhanan. And then, of course, partially nadidiscuss to sa tax natin, yung succession. But dito sa civil law, medyo in-depth yung discussion dito, pero in-depth din yung computation. So sa taxation natin medyo medyo okay na rin kasi medyo nadaanan paano nagko-compute ng succession, testate, intestate, ganyan. Pero pagdating nyo sa succession, ako medyo mas maraming component yung kukumputin nyo. Kaya sabi ng ibang mga kaklase ko, kumuha ko ng law kasi ayoko ng math. Yan. And lo and behold, yan, mas mahirap pa minsan to sa income taxation. Yan, yung succession na subject. So yan, kaya kapag nag-succession kayo at kumuha kayo ng law subjects and then succession yung topic, yan, medyo mag-focus din kayo dyan. Marami rin dyan, medyo gatekeeper din tong subject na to. And of course, we have taxation. Ito naman, if we religiously did our exercises ng undergrad natin sa accountancy, tingin ko hindi kayo mapapariwara dito kasi same yung teaching dito. Actually, if you have been to review schools, yung itinuturo sa review school ng taxation for accountants is almost the same sa taxation sa law school. Ang difference lang tingin ko is medyo tinitingnan nila yung nagiging basis ng law, bakit ganito yung ginagawang taxation law or bakit ganito yung rate na ginagamit. So yan, medyo in-depth lang yung concept sa law, pero yung computation parehas lang. Tsaka yung mga rate, alam niyo naman na yan, di ba? Usually minimemorize natin. So ito, yung mga classmate kong hindi accountants, medyo hate din to kasi ang daming rates na i-memorize, di ba? Pero sa ating mga accountancy students, medyo tawag nito, should I say na medyo strict na natin to kasi accountancy years pa lang natin, minimemorize na natin to, di ba? Lahat ng withholding taxes, lahat ng business taxes niyan, di ba? Ayan. And then we also have criminal law, which is one of the most interesting. And dito sa subject na to, hindi ka mabubur. So, yung criminal law is composed of 2 subjects lang naman. So, criminal law 1, which is the foundational for criminal law, yung mga general concepts, yan. And then we have criminal law 2, which is the enumeration of crimes and their elements. Dito, yung elements, medyo magme-memorize kayo ng konti. Kasi if you would be taking this subject, yung criminal law 2 especially, mapapansin nyo, yung mga crime, meron lang konting mabagong element, ibang crime na siya. So, kaya advisable na i-memorize nyo yung mga elements ng crime. But sabi ko nga sa inyo, ito yung isa sa mga subject sa law school na hindi boring. Ito yung mga, ang subject matter is yung mga heinous crimes, ganyan, mga murder, ganyan. Lalong-lalo na minsan yung pinag-uusapan, yung mga robbery with yan. At marami kayong machichismis dito na mga story dito sa criminal law. Ayan. And of course, lastly, sa legal ethics, isang subject lang naman to. But for me, it's the most important because legal ethics discusses the principles on the conduct that members of the legal profession are expected to observe in their practice, di ba? Or observe in their practice. So, of course, if you want to be a good lawyer, you have to be an ethical lawyer also, di ba? Parang sa accountancy lang din yan, di ba? So, alam nating accounting is an art, pero syempre kailangan maging ethical lang din naman tayo lagi, di ba? So, if you go to law school, please take this subject to heart. So, yan, yung mga enumerate kong yun usually yung mga major subjects na kapag nag-law school kayo, Yun yung focus ninyo. So, I think, ano naman yan, hindi ito different sa accountancy na meron din tayong mga major subjects, diba? Mga financial accounting, taxation. So, on this case, yung mga major subject, medyo talagang pagtuunan nyo ng panahon para basahin.
Ayun, thank you, sir. And it seems na ang haba talaga at ang daming procedure. And nakita na ang law is nag-heal to ng mga societal rifts talaga in our community. So, next question po. If you given the chance, would you choose between accounting and law or just proceed to taking those two po?
Ako, if I would only choose one, syempre I would choose accountancy, di ba? Kasi for me personally, I enjoy meeting business-minded people, and sa accountancy, if you would join the ranks of accountants, of course, sa umpisa, talagang puro legwork, puro mechanical work minsan. But as you rise on the ranks, marirealize mo na ang ganda-ganda ng subject na to, and if you have an understanding of accountancy, lalo na sa processes, most likely than not, you would give your clients the due service that they deserve. So, ano siya parang ang accountancy kasi for me is kung merong isang business, ang backbone niyan usually is ang backbone niyan is accountancy. Syempre, nandyan din ang sales, di ba? Kasi kung wala namang sales, walang kita yung kumpanya. But it would always be accounting which would provide management with better figures or better numbers so that they can decide better. But if I would choose, if I would take law school at the same time, syempre pipiliin ko parehas. Kasi sabi ko nga sa inyo, it's complementary eh. So, yung knowledge mo sa accountancy would be supplemented by your knowledge in law. So, mas marami kang alam. There was this one time, share ko lang, there was this one time when meron kaming meeting before ako nag-take ng law. Meron kaming meeting. Tapos ang pinag-uusapan sa accounting standards, I think it was leases yata. And then, yung client nagdala ng lawyer. And then, sinasabi namin sa client na, according sa standards, hindi po pwedeng gawin ito. But then, yung client constantly was asking the lawyer. Sabi niya, attorney, hindi raw ito pwede. Di ba pwede naman to? Ayan, ganyan. So, sabi naman ng lawyer, pwede yan. So, ayan na, di ba, yung dilemma. And it's a hard reality na if you would be presenting an accountant and a lawyer, most of the time mas prefer minsan na paniwalaan yung mga lawyer. Di ba mga lawyer, mga liar, although hindi naman we joke lang yun. Pero to be fair, hindi dapat ganun yung tingin natin sa accountancy profession. I know a lot of magagaling na mga CPAs and accountants. And if I would say, kahit na hindi sila nag-aral ng law, they can stand their ground when they are facing lawyers. And siguro, I would say also na kung hindi naman proficient sa understanding sa business or sa accounting yung lawyers, dapat medyo pumipreno sila sa mga and they would give due recognition sa profession ng accountants, di ba? So kasi for me, equal lang naman yan eh. Parehas naman na may board or merong certification and parehas na mahirap yung exam. So I would say they should be taken and yung meeting na yun actually was an eye opener for me na that's also one of the reasons why I took up law. Kasi sabi ko we cannot continue like this na kapag merong lawyer na nagdi-dispute sa atin is we cannot hold our ground Kasi hindi tayo familiar dun sa mga basis niya, di ba? Remember, sabi ko, ang law study naman is tawag dyan is procedural based, or it's actually a knowledge based so mas marami kang alam, mas marami kang may share, or mas marami kang maybe bibigay sa client mo. So ayun. So I think siguro bigyan natin ng same respect siguro yung baka you would be thinking na being a lawyer is more respectable than being an accountant. Syempre ang sagot ko diyan is hindi. It would depend siguro. Depende sa reputation nung tao, and siguro depende sa service, and tingin ko we both pinagdaanan yung hardship ng pagiging accounting and law student, so equal recognition lang, di ba? So yeah.
Ayun, thank you po. And for our next question, alam ko sir, medyo nabigyan na kami ng konting idea sa mga na-share niyo po from the previous questions, pero feeling po namin kailangan din itong matanong. Ayan, for our next question, what are the factors that you could think of that aspiring accounting students would need if they plan to choose the course as a pre-law degree?
Siguro, the first thing would be time. Kasi if you would be taking law, you would need a lot of time to read. So if you can't devote time to read, siguro the law school is not for you. So you should make time to read. Marami akong kaklase na working, kahit ako working, nung tinikong law, working din ako eh. So, marami akong kaklase na working students, and talagang mahalata mo pagpasok nila sa school, parang puyat na puyat, or nagmamadali kasi alas 5:30 yung klase, tapos tumatakbo kasi traffic or pinag-OT ng boss. So, talagang tumatakbo. And ang good sa mga working students, which is why mataas lagi ang tingin ko sa mga working students, is kahit na meron silang additional na obligation, they make time to read. So sa akin, when I was in law school, I graduated pala way back 2020. So when I was in law school, it's either I read after ang klase ko is gabi eh. So after class ko ng gabi, magbabasa pa ako bago matulog, or kung tingin ko pagod na ako, gigising ka ng maaga, mga alas 2, alas 3, ganyan. So, ayan. So, imagine nyo, yung nakakarinig na siguro kayo, lalo na yung mga kaibigan yung nasa public practice sa accounting, yung walang tulog kapag audit season. Sa law school, parang audit season lagi. Halos wala kang tulog lagi. Wala ka ring social life. Kaya, if you would be taking law, consider nyo itong mga to. Kakain talaga siya ng oras. Hindi pwedeng hindi ka mag-alat ng time. Kasi pwedeng pumasa ka kasi mabait yung teacher at hindi siya nagbabagsak. Meron din ganyan sa law school. Pero kumusta naman later on yung par mo, di ba? Or kumusta naman simple yung retention mo, di ba? Ano kayang na-retain naman sa pinag-aralan mo sa law school? Kaya mag-alat ka ng time. Sa akin, talagang nag-alat ako ng time dyan. And thankfully, yung mga partners ko, lalo na sa chairman namin si Mr. Floyd Pagyo, pinagbigyan naman niya ako, binigyan niya ako ng time na makapasok ng maaga, ganyan. So imagine na lang natin kung hindi ganon ka, di ba? Hindi ganon ka understanding yung mga kasama natin sa work, di ba? So the best would be syempre mag full-time ka, di ba? Pero ang kalaban usually ng full-time student naman is yung boredom, or yung, di ba, yung parang wala kasing wala kang deadline, kumbaga. Pag working ka, laging may deadline yung yung time mo or meron kang laging hinahabol na oras. And then ano pa ba? Factors to consider. Siguro yung time, and also siguro yung financial or monetary din. monetary payment din sa law school. Pwede namang mag-enroll sa mga government funded na mga universities like PUP, mga ganyan, UP, yan. Medyo mas mura yung tuition sa kanila compared sa mga bigger schools. But pero kung hindi ka magpa-public, usually ang average na tuition is nasa around 50 to 100,000. Minsan nga yung ibang yung talagang malalaking school nasa around 150 to 200,000 pa per semester yon. So challenge din actually yung payment ng tuition fees. So yun siguro yung mga factors na kailangan nyo i-consider, and syempre kailangan nyo magbaon ng maraming pasensya. So sa law school, medyo bawal yung tinatawag nilang onion skin, yung ayaw yung napapahiya, ganyan. Ito hindi ko to maintindihan nung una. During my first year, marami kaming terror na teacher. Siguro one way of filtering ng mga student. Yung tipong kapag di ka nakaka-recite, yung minsan sumisigaw yung teacher, ganyan, papaupuin ka na lang, bigyan ka ng 60 na grade, ganyan. So nung una hindi ko maintindihan yon, but later on, in-explain din naman ng teacher namin na it's one way of developing your composure. Kasi kapag nasa korte ka, ang sabi nga nila, merong Diyos dyan sa korte, yung judge. So usually kung naka-attend na kayo ng mga hearing, di ba? Minsan mga sumisigaw-sigaw yung judge dyan. Tapos yung mga attorney, minsan akala natin ang yayabang ng mga attorney, di ba? Pero kung nasa harap sila ng judge, mga well-behaved boys and girls yan. So para maging poker face ka, or para maging composed ka lagi, so sinasanay ka na sa law school pa lang. So yun yung rationale nila. Why they do that. Although siguro kung sa ngayon kasi medyo nagbabago na rin ang teaching method. Pero ang karamihan pa rin ng professor, medyo ganun pa rin yung teaching method. Sa akin, magbaon na lang kayo ng maraming pasensya, and ako ang iniisip ko na lang lagi diyan is it's for my own betterment naman. So which is good. Actually, nung first year ako, yun yung pinaka-terror na teacher na na naging teacher ko, may nag-walk out pa, ganyan. Tapos kung may tatlong hindi naka-recite sa inyo, sa class niyo, kunwari, Constitution yun Sabihin, recite to me Article 5. Kunwari, kulang ka ng isang word. Yan, papaupuin, tapos magtatawag ulit ng isa. Kung tatlo sa inyo, hindi ka naka-recite, mag-walk out na yun. Tapos 60 kayo lahat sa grade. So, di ba? Parang medyo di ba? Medyo karumal-dumal. Pero naman yan? Hindi mo kasi mapipili ang professor mo di ba? Pag namimili ka naman ng professor, nung mga third year college, third year na ako sa law school, na yan Siyempre, medyo may experience na itong mga kaklase natin. So, maghahanap na yan ng medyo lenient na prof. Pero sa akin, kung ako sa inyo, huwag kayong mamimili ng prof. Para sa akin kasi, you would learn more dun sa mga terror na teacher. Kasi naku-force kayong magbasa. And sa law school, the more you read, the more you know. So, it's not a matter ng gaano kahataas yung IQ mo unless meron kang photographic memory, but it's how much you read. Ayan. And how much you apply what you read. So, ayun. Siguro yun yung mga factors na kailangan yung i-consider kung magte-take kayo ng law.
Thank you so much, sir. And relate po ako sa mga shinare niya, sir, na about sa mga prop. Ayun. So, for our last question po, if you wanted to be accountant or lawyer po, which is most feasible order? Yung to take law before accounting or vice versa po?
Para sa akin siguro, I would prefer na I will take accounting first before law. Since maraming similar subjects sa accounting, parang ano yan parang preparatory mo for law. Kaya nga sinasabi na nila na the best pre-law course is accountancy, which is para sa akin, at least on the business side or on the commercial side, at least sa akin, and taxation side pala, at least para sa akin is true naman, di ba? Kasi sa ating mga accounting students, batak na tayo sa stress, di ba? Yung mga pag di ka na-compute, minsan may iyak-iyak ka na lang, di ba? So batak na tayo. Pagdating mo sa law school, halos ganun din naman.